Hello and welcome to this Cornerstone Finance Group podcast brought to you by Business News Wales and sponsored by Halifax for Intermediaries. I'm Gemma Casey, editor of Business News Wales, and in this episode we're going to be looking at unlocking doors for first-time buyers. What's the market currently looking like for those trying to get their foot on the housing ladder, and how can mortgage advisors support them? Well, with me to discuss this are Graeme Lewis, Head of Network Engagement at Cornerstone Finance Group. Hi, Graeme.
Hello, Gemma.
Gareth Gale, Corporate Account Manager at Halifax Intermediaries. Hi, Gareth.
Hi, Gemma.
And David Huckle, Head of Infimo Ltd. Hi, David.
Hi, Gemma.
Thank you all for joining me. So, the landscape for first-time buyers then. Graeme, tell us a little bit about the current outlook economically and the impact it's having on those who are trying to get a foot on the housing ladder.
I think we're all seeing at the moment that the cost of buying a house and owning a house is particularly high at the moment. In fact, the highest it's been for many years, with property prices, interest rates, and just the cost of owning a house with utilities. So it is a testing time for everybody, but particularly first-time buyers. On a positive note, though, the government is obviously looking to build many more houses, and we're really hopeful there will be some affordable housing within there. Over the first 2 months of the year as well, we have seen a 12% rise year on year compared to last year with first-time buyers. We're aware that will be the effect of the stamp duty changes as well, so it may calm down a bit, but there is some positivity out there as well.
So that, you think, might have been people trying to get that purchase in just before those rules changed?
Well, yeah, we believe so. There will have been some people who are clearly trying to get that done prior to the cut-off date, but we're still seeing that it's quite busy in the network at the moment, and hopefully the numbers will continue positively.
Interesting. And Gareth Gale from Halifax Intermediaries, tell us a little bit about the landscape as you see it and, the appetite that you're seeing from first-time buyers.
Yeah, so as Graham said, there's no getting round that it's difficult. House prices are higher than they've ever been. Last year, the average purchase price for a first-time buyer was over 310,000. The average deposit that was going down, you're looking at north of 60,000. When you add that into the reporting in sort of mainstream media, it then puts a lot of people off. But contrary to that, last year saw a significant rise in the number of first-time buyers versus 2023. So we're up 20% in 2024. And I think one of the key things is actually that there are still options, and hopefully we're able to explore some of those over the next 20 minutes or so.
Thank you, Gareth. And David, first of all, tell us a little bit about your firm, David.
Yeah, so we specialise with any sort of mortgage need really, whether it be first time buyer, remortgages or investors. But to sort of air what Graham was saying earlier, we've certainly seen that 12% increase this year of first time buyers with what we're looking at the moment. So I think what we're seeing now is yes, cost of properties is going up. Cost of living is certainly going up, which is having an effect on just generally buyers out there. But I think what we're starting to see now is positive trends from lenders where, we're seeing decreases in rates again now. So a lot of lenders have started bringing out rates beginning with a 3. That brings a lot of confidence into the market. And with the increase in rental prices for a lot of first-time buyers, it's still no better time to buy. Yes, it's costly, and yes, they do need support with their deposits and the cost of buying. But we're certainly seeing this year, we have started off very busy with first-time buyers, and hopefully long may it continue so we can continue supporting them.
Interesting insights there into the economic landscape. You mentioned there, David, the fact that you do support a lot of first-time buyers at Infimo. Why is it important for you as a mortgage advisor and with a mortgage advisory business to make sure that you are supporting first-time buyers and that they make up part of your portfolio?
I think it's important that when buying a house, it's not an easy process with what's involved. And I just think there's no better way as a first-time buyer to start that process by going to a professional body where you actually got an advisor that not just wants to get you the best deal, the best rate, the best product, but actually cares about your journey. And it is a journey because it's not just the first time that they purchase that you're looking to help them with. It's the the future moves, the remortgages, as they start growing their families, their personal situations. You want to be there for that whole journey. So it's not just the first time buying part, it's their life with you.
And that's very interesting, David, that you mentioned that. I know that, we'll come on to talk about this a bit later, that Cornerstone really works hard with its network to encourage them to turn those one-off interactions into really lifelong relationships with clients. How do you find that supporting a first-time buyer opens up other conversations in terms of other product needs and other ways that you can help them to safeguard their finances?
I suppose for a lot of us, it's not until we look at buying a property that we realize what else is important in life with protecting yourselves, with life insurance, protecting your incomes, which is obviously very important in the current climate, protecting your loved ones, your children, and yourselves, and actually your houses. Yeah, first time buyers, there's so much information out there that's why it's so important to be a knowledgeable professional where you can offer them that one-stop shop option where you can guide them fully through it in what is a very emotional and complex journey.
Thank you, David. Graham, David has spoken very emotively there about the role that a mortgage advisor can play in supporting first time buyers. I'd like to turn that on its head if I can and ask you, how important is it for the mortgage advisor's business itself that they include first time buyers in their portfolio and that they are open to supporting this segment of the market?
Yeah, we feel it's massively important, as it is to have people at all periods of their life. But if you can meet a first-time buyer as they're beginning this emotional journey, as David puts it, and then you can look after that client over the years as things change, there are so many benefits. Number one, the client will correctly be advised through their whole life and will make correct financial decisions. But for the advisor themselves, they will build value to their own business by the end of it. If they, I'm assuming David won't want to be doing this job for the next 45 years. So at some point when he feels he wishes to exit, there will be a value to his business as well, because he will have clients that they consider that they are his clients, because he will have looked after them over the years through changes in their lives. So for many reasons, for longevity of business and for profitability in the business, it's vital that there are a mix of first-time buyers that are well looked after in each portfolio.
Let's move on now to look at how lenders are currently supporting first-time buyers. Gareth, tell us a little bit about what lenders, including yourselves, Halifax Intermediaries, are doing, given the landscape that we've already talked about, to support those first-time buyers who clearly do have an appetite still to get on the property ladder.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to add on to the point Graham made, last year, 54% of all purchases made in the UK housing market were to first-time buyers. So it is tricky. There are some hurdles in place, but they're still making up the majority of purchases. So if we're not thinking about how we bring these into our businesses, both as a lender and as an intermediary, then we're missing out on a huge chunk of the market. As a lender, I think there's two very distinct areas that we want to try and look at and support. The first is deposit. So what can we do to try and help customers get the deposit that they need? And I think good financial advice at an early stage is really key to that. One, to understand what your options are, but also how you can make that journey to get there. There are lots of lower deposit options. So at Halifax, using a mortgage guarantee scheme, we have mortgages with a 5% deposit. And that number of 61,000, which is the average UK deposit, sometimes can be a little bit erroneous. With a 5% of a typical house purchase, that could be much more like sort of 15, 20. It's not going to be for everyone, but it's important we get the advice to understand what our options are going to be. There are also shared ownership options. Halifax play heavily in this area, which allows you to purchase a share in the property. You would then pay rent on the portion that is owned by a third party, usually a housing association or local authority. And over time, you have the option to staircase that towards 100% ownership. Again, this can really help in that deposit space where it can be a challenge, especially with the increase in rents and cost of living that we see already in the market. The other challenge that we have is around affordability. So there are a good proportion of customers who have a deposit, whether that be saved or from help from friends and family, but can no longer meet or don't have the income to support the affordability requirements for the bank. I think this is where we're seeing the most change in the industry at the moment. So last year, Halifax brought in the first time buyer boost to increase affordability for customers across 2 and 5 year mortgage products. There's also been some change in legislation with the government over the last few months that have looked at how banks need to stress test. That's still in its infancy at the moment, but we're starting to see more lenders look at how we can support the affordability with more customers.
And David, Gareth has outlined quite a range of options there for first time buyers. Do you find that first time buyers that come to you have got a good knowledge of those options, or is that something that as a mortgage advisor you're having to talk them through?
Yeah, I think what we're seeing on, I suppose, at the front line is there's a lot of information out there, and it's all available on the open market, but it can be quite confusing and misleading sometimes. But it is really important to speak to a sort of mortgage professional because the options out there are unbelievable at the moment. And obviously, Halifax, rightly mentioned by Gareth, they've got ability to offer first time buyer boosts. That's available across a couple of the lenders as well, where the first time buyers, if needed, they can get up to 6 times their income from lenders. So again, affordability, there are some great options out there for first time buyers. There really is. But also that's not the only current issue that's holding them up. It's deposit as well. And again, with our ability and access across the Cornerstone network, we've got lenders that will consider literally no deposit. So if someone's been renting for 12 months in a row out of 18, and there is options where they can get a mortgage with no deposit whatsoever, which is a great option for those people out there who are sort of in the rental cycle. And we've also got lenders that will offer a £5,000 deposit option at a minimum of 1% deposit. So there really is so many different options out there that I think there's never been a better time as a first-time buyer to start the journey early, speak to a whole market mortgage advisor who knows the options available.
Okay, great. Thank you, David. That is really interesting and, a really upbeat assessment, I think, of where we are in terms of first time buyers. I'd like to look now in more detail, Graham, at how the Cornerstone Network supports its network of brokers when they are dealing with first time buyers. You spoke earlier about how important it is that they are including them in the portfolio, but talk to us a little bit about the support on offer from the Cornerstone Network.
First of all, we've got the whole of market there. So if a product is out there that will help the first time buyer to get on the market, that product will be available to all our advisors. The tech we provide as well, I think, is really helpful. It's very user friendly, so that when the advisor is speaking to their clients, they can actually concentrate on what the client is saying and what the client needs and what the client wants, as opposed to worrying about filling in the next item on the screen. We've got highly trained people in the office as well, so if people have got concerns or queries around the right product, there are people available in the office. And also every Friday morning, we have a lender or an insurer or somebody appropriate in the market who is speaking to the whole network, pointing out new changes, new advantages, and new things that can help the advisors to find the appropriate product. So we really hope we do help in the process for finding the right product.
And David, as part of the Cornerstone Network, how important is that support to you?
Yeah, it's unbelievably sort of paramount in what we do, really. And Graham's right. The technology we have available now via the Cornerstone network is unrivaled. To be honest, the CRM system that we work off, it's so swift and smooth. It takes away that sort of what feels sometimes like a robotic fact find nature that we have to carry out. And there's a lot more to it than just getting a fact find. And I think having that technology that allows you to be a lot more fluid, a lot more rapid in getting solutions, much better results for our customers, really. And when you've got thousands and thousands of products that you're trying to sort of look through for customers, that system with Cornerstone that they offer, it's just vital in what we do, really.
Thank you, David. Now, I'm conscious of time. Gareth, I would like to come to you for one final point, if I can, and that is that it's been a really interesting discussion that we've had about, the economic outlook can look difficult for first-time buyers. We've talked about high housing costs, whether they're buying or renting. We've talked about sort of the high costs of running a household, and also about the vast wealth of information that is out there that they might need to navigate. But we've also heard that there's a huge appetite amongst first time buyers. So, what would your message be as a representative of Halifax Intermediaries for mortgage advisors in terms of how best to support first time buyers in this market at the moment?
Yeah, sort of best tip I key ask at the moment is to really try and engage in customers as early as possible. Take them on that journey to mortgage readiness. We've spoken about how difficult the market can be. We are and you are the experts in the mortgage market. The first time buyers are not going to be. So we would really say try and engage as early as possible. Take them on that journey. You will be surprised at how good the retention of that client is over time because they will remember the support that you gave them, as David said earlier, on that emotional journey to their initial home ownership.
A great message to leave it on there. Well, thank you very much to my guests, to Graeme, to Gareth, and to David, and thank you for listening.